is Wanjiru Bogori. I run the creche. I manage the creches. I work with the children and the teachers. So my job day to day is making sure that they are here on time, they are doing what they should be doing with the children, and basically teaching. We do a lot of training with them. Our teachers are all ECD trained. This is our mother's room in HQ. So in this particular room, you can see it's very comfortable. Mothers come in, they can sit, express their milk. Then we have a fridge here where they store the milk. And every milk is labeled so that there's no confusion. Yeah. And as they sit in the room, they can chat. If during lunchtime, we have a microwave where they warm their food and just have a good time before they go back to their desks. And maybe they can go back to the facilities, pick the young ones, and just give them the milk. And life is made easier for them. Then they leave at around 5 or 6 when they're picking the young ones, because here the creche open at 7, then it close at 5. I am a child psychologist. That's where I began. But it was also, my motivation came from the fact that when I was working in my day, there were no such places as creches, not just even in the workplace, but I didn't know of a play place where I could take my children. So I had to take my children to school at the age of 3, which I wouldn't have preferred to. But then we relocated. And again, being in a foreign country where you have no help, you have no grandma to run to, because when I was here, if my nanny decided she was walking out, my mom was there, or my sisters were there, and they had, I'd take my child either to my parents or my sister's places. But when I was out there was no one. So in the end, it meant I had to pack in my career for a while, and then think about what to do. And that's where it came from. That's where even the idea of the play place came from, that at least for a few hours I could leave my children somewhere and go out and do my shopping. But that came later, much later, when my children were already grown and I could leave them, say, by themselves or with a nanny, but they knew what to do. But it was that idea struck, and when I came home, and the traffic is always the bane of everybody's life here, I think, I looked at it and I would say, oh man, how does a parent leave home and come back and still see their child? And that's where my motivation comes from, that I feel if a mother is coming in or a father is coming in with a child in the morning, they're talking. They're getting to know each other. They're getting to know what they think about it, because that's very important in parenting, that a child wants to know that they're heard and that the parent understands them. And they have that opportunity also as they're going home. And what I would see here is buses early in the morning with little children at, 5 a.m. sleeping in the bus, and I think, what time did you wake this poor baby up? And because at some point my children also had to wake up early, but never at 5 a.m. to go to school, because they went to school about 30 kilometers out. That was tugging at my heartstrings. What do you do? And, my two partners, my husband and a friend of ours, thought about it and thought, okay, no, we needed to do something about this. So when the opportunity came, then we were able to put in place something that other parents can enjoy. We have 2 creches, so at HQ, we have about 20 to 30 children. And in JCC, that's why we have a lot of children, about 40 a day. Also because of it's a young population. So it wasn't a very difficult idea, but of course the negotiations took about a year before we started. I think they were also at the point where they were beginning to think about how they could help their staff. But what we were doing at the time is, like I said, some of the parents who were there from the beginning. I remember having a conversation with one of the ladies, and she said she used to come to the play place, and they asked, how could we replicate this? Which was a question being asked by many people. It wasn't just Safaricom. There was also the shops the malls, we had a lot of questions from a lot of them because they wanted us to move there. And we were looking to see how we could expand. But this was more what we wanted to do with that, even though we wanted to maintain the play place, which we don't do that now. It took a while because one of the things is, as you know, in a busy place, it's not always easy to get everyone to read their mail. So a lot of people didn't read their mail to see that this was a free perk that they were getting from their employer. So it didn't take too long, though, because at the call center, that's a 24-hour place that they work at. So it didn't take too long for them to start bringing the children. But, you know, it takes like one brave parent to start and then go and tell. Word of mouth works better than anything else. So once they got to know what it was about and what they were doing, they started bringing their children. 50% of our senior management team are women. So they appreciate the facility, and this has not taken a toll on their career. They are able to thrive on their career and they're able to support the business. And so they're happy. We started off with an age limit of, what we say 0, but really 3 months. Straight after maternity leave, a mother could come with her children, with her child or children, or a father for that matter could bring the child to the creche. And our limit was 7 years at the time. Now it's moved to 12. Because we've never been able to stop the older children from coming. And it's also because when a parent has 2 children, one who is younger, one who's older, in the holidays, what do you do with them? You don't take one and leave one. So we started taking them all. We wouldn't turn anyone away from, you know, as long as they're children of the staff. We don't take children from the outside. A lot of our staff have actually taught in schools also. It's not just that this is their first job, but we do also start with those who are you know, first-timers in the job market. But because they've been through a lot of in-service training, they've got the experience and they come here. Every staff member who works in Safaricom can use any of the 2 creches. There are 2 of them, one at the call center and one is here. So anyone who is employed can bring.
Does it cost them anything?
It doesn't cost them a dime, not a cent.
We go this side. Come. When my baby turned 4 months, I was coming back from maternity leave. I had challenges with the nanny. Just before I got back on a Sunday evening, the nanny just left without us knowing. Yeah. So the following morning, I just had to bring my baby because I have to report back to work. I can't ask for more permission, and I had a whole 4 months at home. So after a while, I got another nanny. She was like barely 3 days old, and she started complaining of a headache on a Monday morning. And since I was getting to work at 9, I decided to live with her so that she goes to get her medicine. And apparently she did not buy the medicine. She waited for my guest and my small brother to leave home at around 12. Is when now she had to prepare the baby and live with the baby. On the way, she met with several neighbors, and everyone was asking her, where are you going with this baby? And this baby never leaves the home. The first neighbor who spotted her had already gotten in touch with me. And she was explaining to me that my baby is being taken away from the home. My manager eavesdropped on my conversation and told me, no, your baby is more important. Please go home. We shall sort any other thing. Upon getting home, I just found out she had just laid the baby on the bed. And I didn't ask her about anything. It scared me. That's why I realized that she was to go away with the baby. Baby, slide. It couldn't work for me. Then when he was about 7 months, now we started coming officially, daily. Until now he's 3 years and 2 months old.
Our creche is open to all mothers and fathers, and most time we find that fathers are bringing kids, which is good because it shows they also care.
I've used it now for 4 years, 4 to going to 5 years. Yes, and it's fantastic. in terms of work-life balance, I'm a field guy, so most of the times you find me going to meet our partners in the field. But now the convenience of it is that I will drop my kid in the morning, knowing first the security of the kid, that the security is secured for the kid. Whoever I'm living with the kid with, secured. I don't have to have anxieties. I need to ask for off duties.
I was thinking like somehow we are really delaying him. For example, we were still pureeing his food. Walking, he never even wanted to stand up. Most of the times he would cry when he stands up. So I thought if I bring him to see other kids, how other kids are behaving, there'll be a behavioral change, which actually happened.
If a parent comes in, the kid is sick, or the kid doesn't have a care at that particular point, you have to give an off. So when you consider in a year how much offs you have gone because of the kid, and that's the time maybe you need the company needs that person there.
The number of times that I've asked for an off day due to my child not having a nanny, I can't count any, because that's not an excuse.
All they have to do is bring the food that the child is going to eat and a change of clothes and whatever else they want for the child. Not toys though. We don't like toys from the outside because we've got enough, as you can see, of what the child might need, but we also don't want the responsibility of losing or having anything broken.
The nanny here is only concentrating with the kid. That's why you find that by the time they are going in the evening and you ask the kid, what have you done? They have things that they have done. They are doing some drawings, they are doing they will run around, they will have friends here, because now the professionals that we have here, they concentrate on the kid. So there is a big difference. You can't compare the two. So the value, even if there is a little bit of financial, that is not the big deal. The value the kid gets is the most important. I noticed this from my first kid. When we went to school, when she was now joining school, the level where she was with the other kids, it was very different. She was at a higher level because most of those things that she was supposed to learn from nursery school, they have already been taught here. So it's just a recap of what they have done previously, and it was easier to get to the school.
Some of our best are the ones who come back and say, you know, after the child has been through us for about 3 years, or even 4 sometimes, when they go to school, they are ahead of those who've been in school since they were 2. Because here they are learning, we're allowing them to explore, and we allow them to think about what they're doing and what they're doing and why they're doing it, which is not the case when you have 30 kids with one teacher.
When we go to church nowadays, we can actually sit with Jason and listen to a sermon. Before that, we couldn't. I mean, he didn't really know even how to relate to other kids.
Part of what they learn here are values, being mindful of other people's spaces, being mindful of other children. It's not just a me syndrome which happens at home with a nanny. So they learn to look out for others, and that's what parents will come and say, that, oh, you know, my child will not do this unless we do this. You know, like they won't eat before they wash their hands because teacher says you must wash your hands, because we do that before eating. So a lot of what they learn, they take back home.
My boy, I would say he's slow on development, but because he mingles with these other kids here, he's learning a lot, and he does not delay so much. If he was to stay home without other kids, I think we still have so many challenges with him.
The day Jason walked, actually they took a video of Jason walking, and I was in a meeting. Actually, they sent me that video, and you can imagine how the meeting went. It was just the height of motherhood.
They really enjoy this place. Why? Is because the treatment they get here. They have professional teachers who are here. And so these professional teachers teach them some skills like psychomotor skills, things that you expect a young kid to be taught. Psychomotor skills, you have psychomotor skills. They play with the toys. Sometimes the toys that I cannot even keep in my home because of the size of the compound, they have them here.
They say they want to come and help, but they also have things to do. We have, for instance, like a board game, which is, you know, like the pool table, which has 3 games. There's table tennis, there is the pool, and there is also football on it. And they will play with that. But they also want to feel like, yes, they know what goes on here, so they can help the younger children, which is really good. Others come and say, yes, I'm the helper today, or they want to come and make jewelry, because we do have beadwork. and they know that they do that. So they want to do the things they used to do, but on a higher level, or talk about their homework. And they bring their homework, we do their homework with them. And some of them come in the afternoon after school and prefer to be here rather than at school. So we do their homework with them. We help them out with whatever they are struggling with. And by the time the parent comes, homework is done, they can go look at it, sign it off, and the child has also had a chance to play, which is very important.
We increased our maternity leave from 90 days to 120 days. So by the time a staff member comes back to work after the 120 days, they have an option. It's actually in the policy that you work half day until the child is 1 year. Yeah, and before that, when you're still at home after 120 days, you can also opt to take your annual leave. Yeah, so by the time you come back to work, the young one is actually well grown up, you know. And we have the flexi working hours, and we have communicated across the business that when a mother returns back to work, they need to, the managers has to support them so that they do the flex working hours at least for 6 months before they settle. And we have the facilities that support that. We have the mother's room, whereby the mothers come in, express milk, store them in the fridge, and during their free time they can go to the young ones, feed them with milk, and like that, then they go back to work. And that has worked really well.
Sometimes when I'm thinking of changing jobs, I normally look at it like, will I get this benefit? Because at my age right now is when I'm really settling into family life. So it's an added advantage for me.
How I started this journey was my wife had to go back to school. She needed to go back to school because she needed to extend her knowledge in terms of what she does, what she loves to do. So by virtue of getting into this, that's how I got into it, because I came and asked, can I be bringing my kid here? And it was fantastic for them. They really wanted, because there were a few kids they had just launched the creche. So I brought in the kid here. Now, for me as a parent, as a father, it's actually better than I was expecting. One, you get at by 5:30 you have to be here to pick up my kid. So I pick the kid, go home, meaning that time that could have spent in work, spending it with my kid. There's an advantage. Yes, it's that we leave it with us, but also free from that thing. It doesn't tire me because I don't have to be the kid. I leave it to the good care. She's able to produce, to be productive whenever she wants to do. And now I'm able to take the kid. If it comes to an emergency that I have to attend, maybe at that time I will involve her. Maybe she is nearer here, I'm in the field somewhere far, but at that time she'll be able to come. But in terms of as a father, it's a great initiative. In fact, I will encourage all fathers to try this, and they will see how it works.
It's been helpful because it gives you that peace of mind. And in case of any emergency, we have an in-house clinic here where they take the baby, and as the baby is being attended to, you'll be notified. By the time you get to the clinic, everything is okay. There's that peace of mind. You don't have any worries, and the baby is well taken care of, and he gets to mingle with other kids and learn on the way.
Sometimes on Sunday, when nannies go for their off days and they don't come back, actually I'm not worried. I know for sure I have some place I can take the baby, and the baby will be taken care of very well.
My productivity for the last 4 or 5 years has really increased because of this creche.
We have very comfortable chairs for them to come in and breastfeed, sit and breastfeed. And we do, at Safaricom there is a mother's room. So those who don't have children here don't necessarily come here to express the milk. They have their own room where they can express the milk and store it there as well. And there are those who come here, breastfeed their children, sometimes in the morning, because if they come here with their children as they're coming to work, especially when school is on, they come here pretty early. So there are those who just pick up their babies out of bed, bring them here, breastfeed them when they get here, then put them to bed if they need to be, and then we take over from there, or come wash them here and leave them all set for the day, and then go off. A mother can continue breastfeeding without having to worry about what's happening. Those who don't want to breastfeed or can't come in all the time, bring their milk, and we have the fridge for us to store the milk in.
It's a safe haven for mothers, a place where you'll go even talk to other mothers, tell them about your winning circus, drama, and they'll even tell you a few things. They'll even walk with you as other mothers as you're traveling the journey. When they move out, they're able to meet with people, mix with people, and be able to tolerate a lot of, it's very hard. And I have grown children, so I know now when they go out into the workforce and we talk about what they're going through, then I know if we start early with that attachment, with that understanding and knowing that my child is safe, and if a child is safe, they'll be able to explore whatever they're doing. They're not really supposed to bring their nieces or nephews or neighbors' children, which they would love to. We get a lot of that. That's one of our challenges, that the children want to bring their friends to show them this place, my daddy's place or my mommy's place, where I go to play and do that kind of thing. Raising up a baby in this modern world is quite of a challenge. So I was trying to really have 6 months exclusive breastfeeding. And you know what that involves, eh? It involves you pumping milk, storing in the fridge, and so on. And then you see that transition from home to work, it's not very easy. So for me, it was just heaven. I would come to work. I used to call them apparatus, my breast pump. I would come with any stuff that I need for the day and put it in the mother's room. Then during my break, I would go and pump. This really helped me have the 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, which I'm really grateful. Actually, I'm a member of other groups on Facebook, like Newborn and Beyond, Pregnancy and Nursing Moms. And I used to see how people would say they have to pump milk in the store. The mother's room really is, and I applaud Safaricom for that again, is a comfortable room. And I think you've been there, you've seen it, where a mother can relax as she expresses her milk. She can take a breather before she goes on back to her workplace, and it doesn't take much. It's just a fridge, comfortable chairs, and the privacy of being able to sit there and do her business and then go back to her job. So this isn't a costly exercise. I think it costs more not to have it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to invest a lot of money to eat. You just have to have a small facility within your premise whereby your staff, especially female, are comfortable expressing, storing milk, and just to be able to assure them that their careers are safe. They might look at this and think all this because, like, we took somebody to see something, and even those who come to see, because we have a lot, we've had about 50 or so companies come through to come and see this, to see if they could replicate it. Now, they're not necessarily Safaricom, but what usually takes them aback is, okay, what do you do here? With the toys that are there, you don't have to have 3, you could have 1. You could have 2 cars, you may have just 1 house, dollhouse, and that sort of thing. So you could scale down from what Safaricom has in order to be able to do that. But more importantly is little toys that, because like when we look at the children, we have small babies. So for small babies, we have soft toys. They have to learn to grip. They have to learn to touch and feel these things before they do that. That's what it takes. It doesn't take a humongous building. It's better than what people have in the suburbs, where they have a home, somebody who turns their home into a daycare in the daytime. And children are given Piriton to sleep, or they've got one huge mattress where they put all the children on. It doesn't have to be that. It just takes a few cots inside, a few playthings, and qualified staff. We organize different activities every so often. Like we've had some house manager training courses where the house helps come in and we talk to them. And you'll be surprised that these people are people who, they're so undervalued, but they do the greatest job in the world, the most difficult. And when they come here and they feel good, then they're able to talk about their challenges. They're able to talk about how they see themselves. Like when I talk about self-esteem to them, at first it's like, are you mocking us? But I say, no, I'm not mocking you. I mean it when I say, how do you feel about your job? Or how do you feel about what you're called? What are you called? What are you referred to? Something that we all need to learn, that if you're leaving your child with somebody, that's the most important asset. And that's the thing I've always taken with me, that, when you leave a child with someone, you're leaving your most precious asset with them.
So you want to be nice to that person. You want to recognize what they're doing, because sometimes, and a lot of parents will say, I can never do this. So that passion has to come from within. It's not something that one can learn. It's something that's within. So every one of my teachers has, I'll sit sometimes, just watch them and do nothing, or come and roll on the ground, and they are like, oh yeah, we'll follow suit and we'll roll on the ground. That's what it takes. Even when we're looking after our child, a mother can go to the gym, or a father can go to the gym, because it's not just the mother. It's also the fathers who bring their children. It's also, what we ask is, if a father brings a child and their mother is going to pick the child up, then we need to know who that mother is. Everything is recorded for safety purposes, because we don't want to lose any children.
In 2016, I got my baby girl. Now she's 2 years. I came back to work after 6 months because I took my annual leave 120 days, my maternity leave 120 days. And when I came back, I did my flexi hours for 6 months, coming in at 9 and leaving at 3. And I was able to raise my child, and she's now 2, and I normally say she's the luckiest because she was able to stay with the mommy until 1 year.
Every evening, they'll give you milestones about the baby. They'll give you the baby's progress, and also advise you. When they notice something about the baby, they'll also talk to you about it.
It will be one of the welfares for staff that you need to consider. It is one of the things that make someone more productive, because you are calm. This welfare, you might not attach it to a financial, because the financial aspect you can't really attach it to it. The key thing is the value that they are adding onto you.
What we have seen with these facilities, we have reduction in absenteeism. We also seen productivity, go high, and there's a lot of morale. Because staff are happy. They are not. They don't have to choose between their career and taking care of the children, because they know that the facility is there to support them.
They have more women. I think 50% of the higher, end of the hierarchy are women. And it's because they are able to come here. One of the things that happens when you bring your child here is you're free to work, because your child is just a few blocks away. And we can call them. They know that we can call them if there's need to. They know they can walk in any time and see their children. They can come and eat with their children. So they're able to watch their children grow at the same time as not have the headache of thinking, what might my child be doing at home now? What's my nanny doing? Which is why we don't employ nannies, because we don't want to be the same thing as happens at home. It's not just a place you bring a child when you have no nanny at home, but it's a place that gives you the opportunity to see your child grow.
Working nursing mothers sometimes find themselves in a position where they have to choose between potentially sacrificing their baby's health by moving from breast milk to formula milk, or to potentially sacrifice valuable time, money, or even their careers. But maybe, just maybe, with facilities like this, these mothers do not have to choose between their families and their careers. Dr. Mercy Korir, KTN News.